I wasn't really that patient, Madam President, but I accommodated. In the last 5 years, the federal government has made a number of changes to federal tax policy. The chairman of the Revenue and Tax Committee, who's the author of this measure in the other House, has put together an 84-page bill. I can go through it in detail if the members are so inclined to go through it, to conform 12 measures of the federal law to state law. If you want to ask questions, I'll happy to bring in some expert other than myself to answer them. Ask for your aye vote. And there was no, I think there was, wait a second, I don't think, there were no votes and no questions.
Debate or discussion, Senator Morlock.
Yeah, I have a question on page 27, line 17.
Senator Hertzberg, are you prepared to respond?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Are you kidding?
Go ahead, Senator Morlock.
Madam President.
Page 17, line 17? Or was that just?
Madam President, I was just having a little fun.
I was prepared to answer that question.
At his expense. The senator from Los Angeles, I rise in support of AB 154. Having enjoyed a couple decades of tax preparation, it is no fun when there's a difference between state and federal law, and it can certainly create a lot of confusion and consternation. So with that, I rise in support. This bill will reduce the potential of taxpayer errors on their state tax returns and the penalties and interest related to those errors. The Franchise Tax Board's independent report cites nonconformity as the leading cause for taxpayer mistakes, and it's not their job to play gotcha. So I am fully supportive of this bill, and thank you, Madam President, for letting me ask a question of Senator from LA.
You're very welcome. Any other discussion or debate on this measure?
You know,
Senator Nielsen.
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, Senator, no questions and no line item, but just saying that this is a very important bill. I've carried many conformity bills. They are very necessary. People like Senator Morlock more than know the confusion that reigns, but this one is a bill that particularly will help our military families who have to relocate. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion or debate? Seeing none, Senator, please close.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, members, I debated whether I wanted to jockey this measure because I'll tell you, having these challenges between tax preparers, accountants that have to deal with the federal and state laws, increase economic activity in California so we can have our opportunity to tax those services of those accountants in this measure. Ask for your aye vote.
With that, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Bates. Aye. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Block. Aye. Canella. Aye. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Aye. Galgiani. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Hueso. Aye. Huff. Aye. Jackson. Aye. Lada. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell.
Aye.
Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. Aye. Morrell. Wynn. Nielsen. Aye. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. Aye. Stone. Aye. Vidak. Aye. Wachowski. Aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Call the absent members.
Fuller. Morrell. Aye. Wynn.
Ayes 38, no 0 on the urgency. Ayes 38, no 0. The measure passes. Colleagues, we're going to now lift the call on the previous 6 items. We're going to lift the call beginning with file item 396, Assembly Bill 313. File item 396. Please call the absent members.
Wolk. Aye.
Ayes 40, no 0. The measure passes. File item 399, Assembly ACR 93. File item 399, please call the absent members.
Runner. Vidak. Aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye. Runner, no.
Ayes 37, noes 3. The resolution is adopted. File item 400, ACR 94. File item 400, call the absent members.
Nielsen. Aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Ayes 40, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. File item 406. Excuse me, 403. File item 403, ACR 96. Call the absent members.
Fuller. Lotta. Aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye. Ayes 30.
Ayes 39, no 0. The resolution is adopted. File item 406, AB 1130. File item 406. Call the absent members.
Fuller. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Ayes 39, no 0. The measure passes. File item 407, Assembly Bill 941. File item 407. Call the absent members.
De Leon. Aye. Fuller. Pan. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Ayes 38, no 0. The measure passes. Thank you, colleagues. We're going to move on to the last 8 measures that we will take up today at Assembly third reading. If there are measures that you are floor jockey for and we didn't have it noted in today's daily file and you'd like to take them up, you can do so after file item 418. The next several measures will be file items 410, 411, 412, 413, 414, 415, 417, and 418. Beginning with file item 410, AB 559. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 559 by Assemblymember Lopez, an act relating to monarch butterflies.
Senator Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President and members. The monarch butterfly is an extraordinary creature and one that graces the state of California during its migration season. This measure, AB 559, will allow the Department of Fish and Wildlife to take action to conserve this butterfly and its special habitats necessary for that successful migration. Currently, there are no laws in place to protect them. In the past 2 decades, the monarch has experienced a 90% decline in its population. That's 90. This rapid decrease is particularly troublesome because monarchs have long been considered an indicator of the ecological health of the state and a representative of pollinator populations. The loss of this extraordinary butterfly would have grave consequences, not just to the environment, but also to the many cities whose local economies depend on the migration of this majestic creature for tourism, such as the city of Goleta in my district. And if you ever do come and it's their migration season, I would love to take you over there. Their nesting area is right on a bluff overlooking the ocean, and they are extraordinary in their migrating, or rather in their behavior. You have to look closely with glasses because they look like fall leaves as they stretch out and engage in the activities of the butterfly, which I won't go into at the moment, but they're really quite extraordinary to watch. This measure will also allow the department to partner with other agencies, nonprofits, academia, private landowners, and others, and require the department to use the best available science in its planning efforts to conserve this extraordinary creature. These are the black and orange butterflies that you see. They are really quite an extraordinary species, and the fact that we are losing them and that there may be something we can do to assist, I think is a good reason enough to support this measure. With that, I would ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Senator Stone.
Thank you, Madam President. There's no doubt that the monarch butterfly is a beautiful species. My concern is that this is not a listed species. We have in our county 127 listed species. And what is this going to do to private property rights? What kind of restrictions are going to be imposed on the private landowner? If we're going to do this, I think we should be allocating money so that we can fend off the eminent domain, inverse condemnation eminent domain cases that may come about to protect local property owners and give clear direction, not vague direction, to local governments with the message that this bill is sending to local governments like the County of Riverside and the cities that I represent. So I unfortunately have to oppose AB 559.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion or debate? Senator De Leon.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, I actually didn't expect to stand up and just share a few words very quickly about this bill, but upon the Senate delegation trip to Mexico, for my colleagues who recall, when we met with the Secretary of the Environment, Semarnat, Secretary Guerra Abud, the issue of the monarchs in California came up. They originate, if I'm correct, I'm not quite sure, but in Mexico. They even have a soccer team, a professional soccer team called Las Monarcas, the Monarchs. And the issue of why they came up was very similar to the old adage or the saying of the canary in the coal mine with regards to rising temperatures and climate change and the concern in Mexico of the decline of the monarch butterflies. If you note, for those from Orange County, San Juan Capistrano, the monarchs show up there. It's part of their economic tourism in that immediate area, and they migrate elsewhere. There was to Pacific Grove, so it's part of the economic tourism, and there is big concern that those numbers are starting to drop, and the parallel with a canary in a coal mine and with regards to carbon dioxide emissions into the atmosphere and other criteria pollutants. So I just wanted to get up and just add, my voice to Senator from Santa Barbara, and obviously be supportive of this measure, because it was quite interesting when this came up at a cabinet level meeting in Mexico City with the Secretary of the Environment. So with that, I respectfully ask or support this measure, AB 559.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion or debate? Seeing none, Senator Jackson, please close.
Thank you. To my good friend from Temecula, the insect is not a part of the Endangered Species Act, so they are not identified as such. So hopefully, as we look at this bill, the bill gives new and clear direction to the Department of Fish and Wildlife to participate and seek opportunities to conserve monarch butterflies to the extent that funds are available. This measure refocuses on restoring public lands, educational programs, and voluntary agreements with private landowners. They will be required to use the best science available, and it does not give the department any new regulatory authority. Again, this is a measure to protect an extraordinary insect. It will support California's tourism in areas in both Senator Moning's district and my district, and probably many others throughout the state where they do nest. Thousands of local businesses, community-based conservation partnerships, and sustainable environmental practices benefiting an array of wildlife as well as human needs. And with that, I would ask for your aye vote.
Please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. No. Bates. No. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. No. Block. Aye. Canella. No. De Leon. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. No. Galgiani. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Wessel. Huff. No. Jackson. Aye. Lara. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leva. Liu. Aye. Leva. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell.
Aye.
Aye. Monty. Aye. Morlock. No. Morrell. No. Nguyen? Aye. Nielsen? Aye. Pan? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Roth? Aye. Runner? No. Stone? No. Vidak? No. Ikowski? Aye. Wolk? Wolk, aye. West, aye.
Call the absent members, please.
Fuller?
Ayes 28, noes 11. The measure passes. File item 411, Assembly Bill 402, Senator Hertzberg. Not at his desk. File item 412, Assembly Bill 918, Senator McGuire. File item 412, AB 918. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 918 by Assemblymember Mark Stone, enacting to seclusion and restraint.
Senator McGuire.
I apologize, Madam President. I blame Senator Hernandez. AB 918 will protect some of California's most vulnerable citizens by closing an oversight gap between California's state-run developmental centers and privately run community facilities. As developmental centers have begun to close or move large portions of their populations into community facilities, the state has now lost oversight on the use of seclusion and restraint methods. Currently, we have the ability to regulate state facilities, but community facilities do not have these same requirements. The California legislature has found that seclusion and restraint is not a treatment, nor does it positively change behavior. The legislature has also enacted policies aimed at reducing their use, including requiring developmental centers to report the use of seclusion and restraint, and for that information to be publicly available online. However, developmental centers have requirements to report this, community facilities do not. Residents, family members, advocates, and the department providing facility licensure should be able to publicly access this information. This measure passed 77-0 in the State Assembly. Madam President, would respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Any discussion or debate? Any discussion or debate on the measure? Any objection to the use of unanimous roll call? Hearing and seeing none, ayes 39, noes 0. The measure passes. File item 413, AB 267, Senator Monning. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 267 by Assemblymember Jones Sawyer, enacting to criminal procedure.
Thank you, sir. Pass on file. File item 414, AB 555. Senator Hertzberg. Pass on file. File item 415, AB 139. Senator Leno. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 139 by Assemblymember Gatto, an act relating to non-probate transfers.
Senator Leno.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, very interestingly, in state law currently, there is the allowance for Californians to easily name a beneficiary for just about everything, for a retirement account, for a bank account, entire stock portfolios, but not so for real property. So this bill creates a new non-probate instrument known as a revocable transfer of death deed for individuals to transfer personal residential property to a chosen beneficiary upon death. It has the support of the AARP and the Howard Jarvis Association, has received no votes, and I'd ask for your aye vote today.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion or debate on the item? Any discussion or debate? Any objections to the use of unanimous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 39, noes 0. The measure passes. File item 417, AB 1059. Senator Leno. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 1059 by Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia, an act relating to environmental justice.
Senator Leno.
Thank you, Madam President. I will be brief in that I've already presented this bill on the floor. We had to make some amendments, so the vote was retracted. We're now here again. This has to do with the Cal Enviro Screen tool, which captures relevant environmental data. The California Air Resources Board, which administers this tool, has acknowledged that there is a gap in data collection, specifically along the California-Mexico border. This bill would fill that gap, and in the meantime, will improve public health for the communities along the border. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion or debate? Any discussion or debate? Seeing none. Any objection to the use of unanimous roll call? There is an objection. Please call the roll.
Allen. I. Anderson. I. Bates. I. Bell. I. Berryhill. I. Block. I. Canella. I. De Leon. I. Fuller. Gaines. I. Galgiani. I. Glazer. I. Hall. I. Hancock. I. Hernandez. I. Hertzberg. I. Hill. I. Hueso. I. Huff. I. Jackson. I. Lara. I. Leno. I. Leva. I. Liu. I. McGuire. I. Mendoza. I. Mitchell.
Aye.
I. Monning. I. Morlock. Morrell. I. Wynn. I. Nilsson. I. Pan. I. Pavley. I. Roth. I. Runner. I. Stone. I. Vidak. I. Wachowski. I. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Call the absent members.
Fuller. Morlock. Morlock, aye.
Ayes 39, no 0. The measure passes. File item 418, Assembly Bill 514. Senator Pavley, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 514 by Assemblymember Williams, an act relating to local government.
Senator Pavley.
Thank you, Madam President and members. Assembly Bill 514 by Assemblymember Doss Williams will provide counties with more local control for violations of the county's Land Use and Development Code by increasing the maximum fine for local ordinance violations. These fines haven't been adjusted in most cases since 2003. Current law sets the maximum fine at $100 for a first violation, which frankly is too low to incentivize going through the proper permitting process. If it's found out they violated the code, it's easier to pay the low fine after the fact. Specifically, Assembly Bill 514 bases the fine on the severity of the threat to public safety and health. That's the litmus test, and will increase the maximum fine for a first violation to no more than 3 times the permit fee. So if it's a $150 permit fee, it would go up to $450. Assembly Bill 514 creates a reasonable deterrence mechanism and provides counties with more control to enforce local land use and safety ordinances. There is no opposition to this bill. It's sponsored by the Santa Barbara County Board of Supervisors, but also CSAC, and I have copies of letters from Lake, Shasta, and other counties around the state. Ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator. Is there any discussion or debate on this measure? Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Allen. I. Anderson. No. Bates. No. Bell. I. Berryhill. No. Block. I. Canella. No. I. De Leon. I. Fuller. Gaines. No. Galgiani. No. Glazer. Hall. I. Hancock. I. Hernandez. I. Hertzberg. I. Hill. I. Hueso. Huff. Jackson. I. Lara. I. Leno. I. Leva. I. Liu. I. McGuire. I. Mendoza. I. Mitchell.
Aye.
I. Monning. I. Morlock. No. Morrell. No. Wynn. No. Nilsson. No. Pan. I. Pavley. I. Roth. I. Runner. No, Stone. No, Vidak. No, Wykowski. Aye, Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Call the absent members.
Fuller. Hueso, aye. Fuller. Glazer. No. Huff. No.
Ayes 25, noes 14. The measure passes. Are there any additional eligible items on the Assembly third reading file that any member wishes to take up at this time? Any additional Assembly third reading items? Seeing none, we'll move on to the special consent calendar, file item 420 through 436. Special consent calendar, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 682, Assembly Concurrent Resolution 67, Assembly Bill 939, 998, 1064, Assembly Joint Resolution 17.
Deemed
Assembly-
read, ayes 39, no 0. The consent calendar is approved. Senator Anderson, for what purpose do you rise?
I'd like to move a bill off of inactive file, if this is the appropriate time.
It is, sir. Thank you. We're
I'd
on
like to-
motions and resolutions.
I'd like to remove AB 1536 to active.
Two active or off?
To active. It's inactive right now.
Two active.
Off.
Off inactive. The
Maybe if
desk,
I use the right vernacular.
the desk will note.
Thank
We
you.
figured it out, sir. Thank you. Without objection, pursuant to Joint Rule 33.1, Joint Rule 61 will be suspended to allow the Appropriations Committee to report after the deadline. This request has been approved by the Rules Committee. Returning to motions and resolutions, are there any members that wish to be recognized under motions and resolutions? Seeing none. Senator Hancock.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Members, I rise today to adjourn in memory of one of our local profiles in courage in the Bay Area, Dr. Joel Fort, a resident of my district, an outspoken San Francisco psychiatrist whose public efforts to legalize marijuana and achieve equality for people of all sexual orientations riled his colleagues and brought him endless professional troubles. He died last Sunday in his home in El Cerrito at age 86. From the 1960s to the 1980s, Dr. Fort campaigned against orthodoxy, both as a professional treating patients for alcoholism, drug abuse, and other mental health issues, and as the leader of his own unconventional mental health center called Fort Help in downtown San Francisco, which still continues as an authorized methadone clinic for drug abuse patients. In his day, it was typical of Dr. Fort to accept patients of any age who needed drug abuse treatment or who, as he put it, were sick, alienated, strung out, enraged, or dispirited to the point of suicide. From the beginning of his career, Dr. Fort has argued that alcohol is a much more dangerous drug than marijuana. And in global surveys of mental health issues, he consistently reported that alcoholism was a severe and growing disease. In 1965, he sued San Francisco officials and the health department's chief psychiatrist, who had fired him from the city's mental health clinic, which he had founded. He lost that suit, but later successfully sued Alameda County, which for the first time was forced to allow civil servants to be politically active on their own time. He was the author of 9 books on drug and alcohol addiction. He favored education, treatment, prevention, and decriminalization of drugs and alcohol. Born in Steubenville, Ohio, Dr. Fort earned his medical degree at Ohio State University and interned at the Federal Prison Hospital in Lexington, Kentucky. He served as an adjunct professor at UC Berkeley, teaching courses on drugs, violence, and conflict resolution, and was a consultant to the Peace Corps and the World Health Organization. Joel Fort is survived by his wife of 64 years, Maria, who I had the pleasure of working with for many years as the Chief of Children's Services at the Regional Department of Health and Human Services. 3 children and a sister. He will be missed for his outspoken opinions, his courage, his determination, and the very positive impact he had on health in the Bay Area. And I ask that we adjourn in his memory.
Thank you very much, Senator. Please bring his name forward so we can include him in our record. Any other members wish to be recognized under motions and resolutions? Seeing none, Senator De Leon, the desk is clear.
Thank you very much, Madam President, colleagues. We did about more or less about 66 or 67 bills today. About 48 of them were Assembly bills, about 18, 19 were Senate bills. So we made very good progress. We will adjourn and reconvene tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. We'll be here throughout most of the day. We'll have lunch provided, obviously, for hopefully of nutritious value for our colleagues and members here. But with that, have a wonderful evening.
The Senate will be adjourned. We will reconvene Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Thank you.